Hey everybody, welcome back to another Blast from the Past action figure review, G.I. Joe Classified Edition. And today, as you can see, we're going to be taking a look at Flint, the G.I. Joe's third or second in command, depending on how you look at it. Ostensibly, Duke is supposed to be the field commander, and Flint is third in command, but there are people, myself included, who prefer Flint to Duke and thus put him higher in the hierarchy under General Hawk. He is a warrant officer, which technically is a higher rank than a first sergeant, which is what Duke is. But G.I. Joe seems to work on a completely different hierarchy than a standard military force. Hence, you have someone like Duke being higher rank than Warrant Officer Flint, or there's a few lieutenants in the on the team as well, like Falcon. And then you have Captain Gridiron, another figure from the future waves of a real American hero, who's also under Duke technically. Not to delve too deeply into the command structure, but originally when the team was first put together, General Flagg was in charge, and Hawk was at the time a full bird colonel, and he was the field commander. But this occurred in the comics rather than in the cartoon. So if you're only familiar with the cartoon, you don't know who General Flagg is, aside from the namesake of the aircraft carrier. But in the comics, he was killed by Major Blood, and Duke took over as field commander when Hawk was promoted to general in Flagg's place. So that's a quick rundown. Also, if you don't know the rest of the command structure, after Flint comes Beachhead and then Sergeant Slaughter. At least that's the way it was going into Arias, Serpentor Arias in the cartoon series. Now, things probably changed later on when they brought in guys like Captain Gridiron and whatnot. And I'm not sure how Admiral Keelhaul fits in, but whatever. It's messy. You know, the best thing to do is just ignore rank hierarchies that are standard in, the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force. Because, like I said earlier, the G.I. Joe seems to have a completely different setup where rank isn't all that important. Because Duke, again, first sergeant, has higher authority over everyone in G.I. Joe except for General Hawk. So, that being said, we're looking at Flint today. Real name Deschelle Fairborn. And in the comics as well as the cartoon, Flint is often depicted as the boyfriend of Lady J, who we reviewed last week. So it's only fitting that they were released in the same wave. So let's take a look at his box first. The standard classified windowed boxing with the G.I. Joe star in the background, the nice Flint artwork here, and of course the open window in the top to let the sun light shine through. The star, he's number 26 in the line. There's more Duke artwork on the side, or Flint artwork on the side, sorry. 26, there's his file card information here. Legalese on the bottom. More legalese on the back. And then that collage picture of all the figures. So, you're seeing plenty of these reviews. You're used to the box by now, so we're not going to stay focused on that for too long. And then here we have the Flint figure. He's got that pretty decent military haircut there. He's got a scar over the left eye reminiscent of Anakin Skywalker, kind of. Pretty good head sculpt. There is criticism from some people about the Flint figure. I don't think this one's all that bad, to be honest. I rather like him. This plate here, the armor plating on his chest, interferes with articulation, so that is kind of unfortunate. Having a Flint that didn't have this would be cool. That would be make him more like the OG look. But it makes sense to have it. Then again, G.I.Joe is a fantasy military line, so we don't necessarily want things to make sense. We just want them to look like they did in the comics and the cartoons, basically. He does have some nice paint, though. They actually painted the shotgun shells up and down the bandolier. Gold on the tips and black in the ends. So you don't often see that with these figures, so it's nice that they went that extra distance there. And also you can see under his vest here, there's a star, or not a star, but an eagle pin that they painted gold as well. And the vest is an overlay, which can be removed probably. You might have to cut it off. It's really tight. It's not very loose. So. And it's got a sheath on the back for the shotgun. This cannot be removed. It's glued in. Unlike other figures, I mean, Flint, as you can see, if I can move it's hard to see, but there is a hole in his back there, but obviously you can't get to it unless you take the vest off. So, no backpacks for Flint unless you remove this first. The camo pants look pretty nice. We will see later when I review Falcon that this would have looked a lot better on Falcon. The camo they did use for Falcon didn't look all that great, to be honest. My Flint had a QC problem with his boots here. Oops. As you can see, the shin guards were kind of glued on crookedly on both sides. They look like they're on right, but they're just they're a little bit off. See, this one kind of leans over to the left, and this one kind of leans over to the right. I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but it's definitely the same for mine, or definitely that way for mine. Also, you can see on the hinge where the knee is, it kind of hyperextends a little bit. So you kind of have to, it's on both sides. It kind of hyperextends on both sides of his legs, so you kind of have to push it down a little bit, which means you can see the cut, unfortunately. Normally the shin guard or the kneecap, the knee pads would cover that, but because it wasn't cut properly, it looks hyperextended if you push it all the way in. So QC problems were an issue with this particular figure, at least for mine. I don't know how other people's Flints are. But, so going over other overlays, this is actually glued in here. And so is the watch, so you can't remove those. The holster and the belt are both overlays, as well as the vest. Everything else is either glued in or sculpted. So he does have some nice detail, especially on the pants, which is one of the reasons why I rather like this figure. And like I said before, the vest does make sense, even with the little Joe Pro thing on it. Because, I mean, you go in a battle, you kind of want some protection. Of course, he doesn't wear a helmet into battle. He wears his beret, so he doesn't have much head protection. He cares more about his chest than he does about his head. But other than that, it's a pretty decent looking figure in my mind. I dig the head sculpt. I like the scars. It gives him some character. He definitely looks like Flint. you know. Checking out the articulation, he can look way up. He's got a good cut on the joint in the neck there. He can also bury his chin. So Flint has really good neck articulation. Can do the Exorcist. He's got some tilt. The arm can go all the way around. Yeah, he can get into about a 90-degree T-pose there. He does have the bicep cut. Double jointed but pinned arms, unfortunately. He's got the horizontal hinge on the wrist on his right arm. And he's got the vertical on the left. Waist articulation. Oh, he also has the, it's a limited butterfly joint, but it is there. You can't get a lot of movement out of it. Waist articulation. He probably has an ab crunch, because most of the male figures in the earlier parts of the waves did. But you're not going to get too much out of that, because this vest is really tight. He can twist with the waist, and he gets a little bit of tilt there. But yeah, you can't get much. You can't get any forward or back hardly at all out of that waist. He's got those drop down hips. You can do the Van Damme splits. His belt kind of gets in the way a little bit, so he can't kick up too far. He can't kick back about that far. He does have a thigh cut. He's got double jointed pinned legs. Right there. He's got a boot cut. His foot can hinge back about that far. He can hinge forward about that far. He's got rocker. And he has pegs on the bottom for stands. Taking a look at the belt a little bit more, because I kind of skipped over that when I was doing the quick look at the figure. He does have that nice gold on the belt buckle there, and kind of a gunmetal on the one on the top. And he's got those, no paint on them, but a couple looking grenade looking things on the side. Pouch there. So, going to accessories now. He comes with his famous beret. There we go. Flint is well known for wearing of the beret. And I've heard that the design of the beret is not accurate. Like, the patch is supposed to be off to the side, I think I've been told. I'm not military, so I wouldn't know. It's supposed to, but this is supposed to be more off to the side rather than straight on center. It looks pretty good. Definitely a classic Flint look. He also comes with this pistol. Pretty standard for the Joe figures. This is like the most common handgun that they all come with. This one doesn't have holes for blast effects, unfortunately. But that one slides right into his holster there. He also comes with this shotgun. Again, this is not anything based on reality. But it does have some paint on there. It's got the holding slots for 4 additional shells. Like he doesn't have enough already on his vest. He's got 4 more on the gun itself. And got some paint on those, as well as brown for the pump. And this can also break open in the middle there. So you can pose him as if he's loading it. What the hell is wrong with my focus today? Come on. Focus, camera, focus. So yeah, that can flip down like that. And he can store this in his back sheath there. Now, I don't use this gun with him because it's not... It doesn't remind me of the type of gun Flint has. But I have this gun, which I got out of a Valaverse Action Force weapons pack. This one came from Bravo, the Bravo weapons pack. And this shotgun looks a lot more like the one that he's carrying on the old A Real American Hero card back. So I usually give him this gun to hold. And he doesn't have a fist, unfortunately. So I can't quite put him in the 3 3/4 inch classic pose. He also doesn't have a open mouth face, so that's the best that you can get to make him look kind of like the card back from the original figure. But he does look good with that gun, I think. Flint is one of the few earlier figures that people have been asking them to make a retro figure for that they haven't yet made a retro figure for. So it would be interesting to see how close to the original A Real American Hero figure that they make the retro version of Flint when they finally get around to it. And depending on how it looks, like I've been selective of which retro figures I buy to open. Usually I'll buy them just to keep in the box because I really like how the cards look. So I've opened a few of them, and I've got Duke and Scarlet pre-ordered, and I'm going to be opening those too because they look really good. But Flint's retro, depending on how it looks, I might keep it sealed because, like, again, I don't really dislike this figure. So I could see just keeping him like this on the shelf. Maybe, I think the browns kind of look off on him, even if it's accurate to the original design. I think that it still kind of looks a little off. He looks like he should have more of a, like, black gloves, black boots type of thing. So, but he does have a pretty much accurate look to the original figure. And I can't really imagine how they can improve on that too much, except for giving him closer to his original appearance. Like, remove the vest and give him the shotgun I've got him with right here. Actually, now that I think about it, and he topples. Now that I think about it, he's kind of, yeah, I think he's on this position on this side on the original card. With his left arm in the air rather than the right one. Gun in the, or his right arm in the air rather than the left one, and the gun in the left arm. And now his legs won't stand. There we go. So there's a Flint figure, Blast from the Past, the Flint. Next week we're going back to Cobra Island, and reviewing one of the best figures in the line, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other collectors of the line, Major Blood. He does have one really huge negative drawback, though, so we'll discuss that when we get to that figure. So stay tuned for that. It'll be up next Sunday. So leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe. And I'll see you next time.